Let's do a super easy 5-minute alcohol marker sketch of some really pretty poppies. Let's get into it.
It's color, color, it's color for Christy.
Before I get into the tutorial, I just wanted to thank everybody for 1,000 subscribers. Might seem tiny to you, but it's big to me, so thank you. Here are the markers you'll need for this tutorial. First, we're going to take a light pink and we're going to draw some flower-shaped blobs. The only thing you have to remember for this part is that we don't want all the flowers going in the same direction, so think of it like one's going straight up, one's kind of going to the left, and one's sort of going to the right. You can think of them as little triangular blobs if you want. Color them in with your alcohol marker. And these are flowers, so they're natural. Don't worry about if it looks perfect. When your first layer dries, go over it again and add some little veiny lines. We're just trying to make it look like a flower with veins and kind of like it's sort of translucent. So do that on all 3 of your flower blobs. And do as much or as little of this as you want. I like to add a little bit more than probably most people. Use the fine tip or the brush tip for this part. Then take your mid-tone color. I like to go around the edges a little bit, but I'm really very, very lightly touching the paper with this marker. Like so lightly that it's almost not even touching. And go around your flower, but also we're trying to add a little bit of darkness to the edges of the lines that we just added. So adding a little bit of depth to the lines that we were just adding with the lighter marker. And very lightly around the edges. I did a little bit darker at the base where the flower will connect to the stem. And don't worry if it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect. That's the beauty of doing flowers. Here you can see closer up what I mean when I say add a little extra to the base. Usually flowers are a little bit darker at the center, so I want to make it a little bit darker. And I'm just defining those lines a little bit, almost like they're defining the petals. Do as much or as little as you want to do. I actually did this sketch, I think 3 or 4 times before I finally figured out what I actually wanted to do. So next, grab your darker color, your darkest reddish, pink, whatever color you decided on. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to go a little bit lighter. We're going to define the base of the flower a little bit more and go around the edges of those lines, maybe add a couple of extra little lines. And don't be afraid to mess up. That's why we stuck with 3 here, because this is easy to duplicate. You could do this 10 times and just learn something every time you do it. So don't worry about messing it up. That's what sketchbooks are for. Then you're just going to keep going. I did make it a little bit darker, trying to make it look like the flower is opening and you can kind of see inside the flower. So when I'm darkening it up, it kind of looks like it's supposed to be round, I think. And the darkest part is sort of inside the flower, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. Then grab a really light green. Sorry I cut the image off a little bit here. I do scroll down in a second, and just do some quick strokes to make it look like grass. So you don't want to go slow here, and you want to go in all different directions. You want some long ones and some short ones. So just keep going until you're happy with it. Then take a darker green and do the same thing. You can either do your own separate little strokes like I did some here, or you can define the ones that you already have. Whatever you feel like doing. I did a little bit of both here. And then grab any pen. It doesn't matter if it's waterproof because you're not going over it with anything. This is your final mark. And do a little tiny spot at the base of your flower and then draw your stem all the way down to the leaves. And like I said, I drew this a bunch of times, so this is the 3rd iteration of this. You can add some marks to the flowers, or you can add some marks to the grass, like to define the grass a little bit more. Add a couple of little stamens to inside the flower. They're just little things that come out of the flower with a little round dot at the end. And you want them going out in sort of all different directions, so there's no symmetry to this. They're just kind of going in whatever direction they want. And I always like to do 3 or 5. I often don't do even numbers. I like to do odd numbers. And then I added a couple of little lines here, and then I'm done. Let me know what you think and if you tried this, and here are the markers again, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.